it's been amazing that we have a crew that just really works with us because when we see those issues, we're not just trying to fix the problem. We're trying to fix that problem from ever happening again.
Welcome back to All Things Wood Floor, brought to you by Wood Floor Business, the show where the grain runs deep, the stories run wild, and the finish is always flawless. Today, we've got a real treat for you, the 2025 ultimate wood floor guy himself, Steve Osborn of Black Forest Hardwood Floors in Spokane, Washington. This is a guy who's been solving hardwood floor mysteries for over 30 years, running a tight crew, 3 vans, and a reputation that basically says, yeah, we can do that. So buckle up, because when Steve starts talking craftsmanship, business, and the weird stuff he's seen on job sites, you're going to feel like you're right there in the forest with him, but minus the chainsaws. Floor pros around the world, let's get to it. Steve Osborn, Black Forest Hardwood Floors, Spokane, Washington. Welcome to All Things Wood Floor.
How you doing, Steven?
Doing
It's
good,
to be
man.
here.
Listen, this is interesting because the magazine, Wood Floor Business Magazine, sent me a whole bunch of cool stuff about you. And you read all about people and you look kind of for things. So we have a bunch of stuff that we're going to be able to rap about. But some of the things that, for people that read the magazine or go online, you're the 2025 Ultimate Floor Guy, which is kind of cool because not only it's only once a year, but you're also nominated by your own people. We're going to talk a little bit about how the heck you go from, pushing out pizzas to being an award-winning craftsman. Some things that you wrote about in a lot of your business article. You talk about your mentorship culture, your sticky note powered office, and, a lot of ways you didn't just raise the bar, you rebuilt it. So welcome. Tell me a little bit about you in Black Forest and we'll get rolling here.
So let's see. I started doing floors back in about 92. And I worked for a couple different companies here in Spokane, Washington. And then in 2001, we started Black Forest. It went really well at first. We were doing pretty good. We just me on the floors, and then pretty soon we had like 8 guys. It was terrible, and it was only terrible because I knew how to do floors, but I had no clue how to run a business. And anyway, we struggled a little bit. The work was there, but running the business was awful. So anyway, I'd mentioned earlier that we did that E-Myth course and did some mentorship, and that was really helpful.
That's coming up. We're definitely talking about that one. Kim Walgren, the editor of Wood Floor Business, will give me some little notes on things that she liked. And maybe you can elaborate, but she said that you got your start working in a pizza joint. Give me that one.
So when I turned 18, I thought, I know everything. And I moved away from Spokane. I went down to Oregon for a couple of years and started working for Domino's Pizza, and ended up being a manager. I went down to Sacramento area, was down there for a couple more years, and realized that was not what I wanted to do. And ended up coming back to Spokane, beautiful Spokane area. And anyway, when I came back up here, my brother-in-law was working for a flooring company, and I just gave him a call to see if they were hiring. And sure enough. So that's how I started doing floors. I actually kind of fell in love with it.
No construction background.
No, not really. I had done some like landscape construction, but that's, totally unrelated. Not really a lot of woodworking. So originally I worked for Blue Ribbon. I worked for them for a couple years and kind of had an outs with the owner. And then I went to another company, St. Joseph's Wood Floors, and I worked for him for about 7 years, and really came into my own there. And Blue Ribbon, the owner of it, sold it to one of the guys. His name's Royce, and he actually was a great guy. I liked him, and he invited me to come back and work for him. So I did again, went back to Blue Ribbon for a couple years, but it was kind of as a partner, and you know how those things work out. It didn't work out so well.
Yeah.
So I went and started my own, and been busy ever since.
At the time, were you married, single? How old were you?
So the funny thing is when I worked for Blue Ribbon originally, I was not married. And about 2 weeks before we got married, that's when I had the falling out with the guy from Blue Ribbon. Anyway, I quit right there on the spot. My wife was sitting right next to me, or my future wife.
Oh, you weren't even married yet.
Yeah, she kind of had that deer in the headlights look when I I let it, I'd had enough. And anyway, I went to work for St. Joseph's, but I told him, it's like, hey, you know what? In 2 weeks, I'm going on a honeymoon and I'm going to be gone for a couple of
You
weeks.
quit your job before you even got married within 2
Yeah.
weeks. Oh boy.
Yes. Yes. And he was okay with that. So that worked out well.
Has she been the boss since then?
Of course she
That's
has.
what happened to me.
No, she's been great.
So when in between the pizza and Blue Ribbon, et cetera, when do you pick up your first piece of equipment? Like, what was it? Did they stick you with the edger, or did you get to try the big machine? Did you just go for what were you doing?
No, it was the edger.
Isn't it funny? They always can't wait to get rid of the guy and give him the edger, but it's the one that destroys everything. It should be the one you get trained on.
The most skill. Yeah, right.
That's all good.
Oh, we did that, and it took a while. It didn't take as long as some guys, but they put me on the drum eventually, and we used just Super Sevens, and they had Hummels, Logglers. So I've been using those ever since I started.
Good finesse machine for your career. Good. Yep. Does a lot of, you can do a bit of heavy work, but for the most part, you're not going to screw up and you can do a nice, flat, smooth, even job.
All right.
In this whole process, what kind of things had you picked up when you started Black Forest? Was it mostly sand and finish? And then was it also install?
Little of both, but mostly sand and finish. In fact, whenever I'd hire people, I'd say, "Oh yeah, we do mostly sand and finish here." And probably within the last 3 or 4 years, for some reason, it has shifted, and now we do mostly installs that end up being sand and finish. But yeah, I still trying to wrap my head around that because I actually enjoy sanding more than I do installing. Install definitely has its place. We're on a couple different ones this week, and yeah, I don't get out on the floors nearly as much as I used to unless it's a little bit more custom. So I kind of get the best of both worlds anymore. I enjoy it. We've got one I'm doing. I'm really excited about it. It's probably going to take us about 4 months to do, but it's some border work. We have to make the flooring, resawing some really sweet quilted maple for the main part of the field. And then I'm gonna set my goal. I got to put a limit on it, but I'm at about 40 species right now, and I think I can get to 50 before I'm done.
Wow.
In
the one floor?
In one floor, yeah.
That'll
be
keep
cool.
you busy. Isn't it tricky if you're doing your own milling? I do a lot of mill inspections, and there's flooring, and there's stuff that people call flooring, and that's usually really exotic-looking wainscoting, and it tends to be noisy and not prepared like a floor. Do you do a lot of spline work and tongue and groove work, or do you just use a specific cutter to remill everything?
So on this, yeah, we're having to resaw everything. I bought a whole bunch of 8-quarter, and we're remilling it down. And I'll be honest, because this stuff is so dang expensive, there's simply way I could actually make this floor. But yeah, we're gonna mill it down. We're gonna relaminate it to some 1/2-inch Baltic, and then probably we're gonna bag it and vacuum pressure it to. I mean, it's a slow process. It's only about 600 feet.
Ornamental, or is it a lot of inlaid work and stuff, or is it actually like mural? What type of design?
So the border work is random. I don't know if I want to spill too much.
No, don't go. I got you.
Exactly, but the center part with the quilted maple is going to be kind of a random edge. We're gonna make it. It's not going to be straight. So I can say.
Gotcha. Yeah,
there's a lot of work involved.
Don't tell me, but how long would you estimate this particular thing is going to take you?
Well, longer than I anticipated it, obviously. But I probably already have 200 hours into it.
How many square feet is the whole thing?
600, but we haven't started installing anything yet.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's a lot of work for 600 feet.
It's going to be cool, though. I'm excited.
Gotcha. In the whole path, like as you got involved in this, when did it click with you? Like, hey, I'm a wood floor pro. Like, no, I don't know anybody that's like, I planned it. Other than the guys that say, their dad threw them in the truck and made them go to work. Most of us go, how did I wind up here?
Yeah, that's a good question, because even when we started the business, I thought I knew flooring, but I didn't know anything. I learned a lot on the floors myself, and yeah.
It's scary. Like, so, you look back and I look back and go, oh, I don't want to go in and look at that. I'm the first one I ever did. I actually gave to the lady for free because I was so afraid of what I had done, and she liked the floor. But I know I would be very disappointed if I went back.
Yeah, I know. We tend to pick things apart a lot worse than our customers do. I mean, every now and then you'll get a doozy customer, but most of the time when I see a floor, I go in a quote or something and I'm looking at it, I'm like, and you were happy with that?
The 60 podcast, I've had one person that was like, my floors are great. And it's a kind of a trap question I always ask. What does your perfect floor look like? So far, like 99.9% of them, I've never done one. Not one I'm happy with. I know every hair, every ding, every ring, everything, every scrape.
Right. That's right.
So in the beginning, what was scarier, that like you told your wife that we're going to be married in 2 weeks and I don't have a job, or for your first day behind a drum sander, or day behind a buffer by yourself?
Oh gosh. Yeah. Getting married without the job was scary, but I mean, I was able to get one right away.
Yeah.
But I hadn't really worked for him. And funny thing with that, so when I worked for Blue Ribbon, of course we had pneumatic nailers, and it was a pretty decent operation. And the first job that I do for this new company, he sends me out. It's probably 45, 50 minutes from town with a handful of 8-penny nails and a manual nailer. And, I couldn't set a nail to save my life. And of course it was Brazilian cherry, so it was even worse. So everything had to be pre-drilled and punched. It was terrible. And I told him, it was like, I came home the first day and I probably installed 40 or 50 feet. And I'm like, I don't think this is going to work for you.
Oh, no. When you get started, did you work all by yourself right out of the gate, or did you have some help?
I did for a while. And then I had to bring in a guy. He actually had worked with him at one of the previous companies, and he was a pretty decent guy and he knew what he was doing. So I think in his mind, he kind of felt like he was going to become my partner, but that wasn't really the arrangement. And we ended up parting ways. But that having somebody else that kind of knew what they were doing was very helpful. And then my brother, who actually had worked in the flooring trades for a while too, came and worked for me. And funny story with that, though, most of my family ends up working for FedEx. And so he was working nights at FedEx and he'd come work for me. And he is like the only person I've ever met that could run a buffer while they're sleeping.
And not see that.
You'd walk in and he'd be completely out and that buffer'd still be
Just
moving.
swaying back and forth. And some people got that. Well, that's a question though. You're picking up actual people that know hardwood flooring, or are they just craftsmen, or are they just laborers? Like, how do you pull all that together? Those machines aren't easy to learn.
No, in fact, what we found over the years is when there's somebody that has some skill or has some knowledge in the flooring trade and they come to work for you, usually there's so much baggage that we found that training people is so much better. If you can find the people with the right attitude and the right desire to learn, this can be a really good career for somebody. But bringing somebody in, I've just not had success with that at all.
Was it chaotic, like at first? Because you have that business mind. You're probably trying to get everything rolling. Go, okay, I'm going to make this into a business. Was it a little chaotic? Because it is very different. It's not like going into an office. It's like tools, equipment, people, scheduling, booking jobs. You have to be the face of the company. Had to be a little chaotic, I would think, in the very beginning.
Oh yeah, yeah. Back in the day, we had PDAs, little devices with our calendar on it and stuff, and we were trying to be organized, but it was a disaster, On my first outing, we had these really fancy business cards made up. They were like bifold, and I'd put the quote right inside there. I'd write it out, and then I'd leave it with him. And it's like I didn't connect the dot that I kind of needed that information back at the office.
And when you go back.
Yeah. So yeah, we learned a lot along the way, and we went from that to doing our quotes on NCR paper, the automatic copy paper. That was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Did that for a while, and that still wasn't very professional. Then we went to building our own Excel sheets, and so we had a pretty nice system for that. And we used that up until just recently. And then we've kind of evolved beyond that now.
How long ago was this when you left and started your own thing?
We started the business in 2001, and it pretty much took off right away. I wasn't alone for more than 6 months, and we were like desperate. There was just too much work coming in.
Where'd you come up with Black Forest?
Honestly, we had that name picked before we started the business.
Good.
When I when I left Blue Ribbon, that was back in the Yellow Pages days, right?
Oh yeah.
So, of course, I went from Blue Ribbon to Black Forest. That way I could be just slightly
Right? Yeah.
ahead of them in the phone book. But yeah, I never told them that. But
Oh,
that's
listen, buddy, this is in Boston. They come from all around the world, and the first thing they do is go, I want to be AAA flooring,
right. Hard
AAA
part
flooring,
flooring.
5A flooring.
Phone book was where it was at back then.
How come you already had it locked and loaded for Black Forest? A lot of cake at your house, a lot of cake going on.
Yeah. No, well, I mean, all of our sanding equipment was from Germany, so we kind of like that. And then my wife's parents are actually from Germany.
Oh, there you go.
So we got that heritage within our background. In fact, when we go back in October, I think we're going to do a little bit of see some of the family back there that we've never met.
Oh, good
So that
for you.
Yeah.
When you got rolling, did you stick with the same people for quite a period of time, or did you have to do a lot of weeding out? Sometimes you get a couple of people early, and other times it's just a rotation, a revolving door.
Over the years, we went through a lot. We've stabilized over the last, probably 5-10 years, and we've got absolutely the best crew right now that we've ever had.
That's awesome.
So much so that I felt like, sending them to NWFA training is totally on the table for anybody that works here more than a year. We're definitely, that's a big part of our kind of systems here, is trying to get them through those courses, not only the online courses, but definitely the hands-on training.
Sure. Online for like technical, like NWFA stuff and
all the online courses that the NWFA offers, we kind of like an initial person before they get into our pay for performance, they've got to go through some of those courses, all the safety ones. All of those are just amazing to kind of get them, I guess on the same page with this whole company.
You read the E-Myth, right?
Oh.
The entire philosophy of the E-Myth is there are components you need to have in your business, any size. What did you read from that? What did you pick up from that? It stuck with me like glue.
When we were debating about what to do, we were struggling because we didn't have any systems to operate. And like I told you, we knew how to do floors. We just didn't know how to do the business end of it. And so it was very disorganized. We were struggling. And so we reached out. We ended up doing the mentorship for a full year, graduated, if that means anything. But we learned so much, getting systems in the office to handle, making sure your wood's ordered and all, just making sure you have what you need. Your materials are in the shop, and just all the little things about operating a business better. And some of the things that we learned were amazing, like how to manage your time better. And I think all of those things that we learned in that year have helped us keep moving forward. And we try and look at things like whenever there's a little issue that comes up, we try and figure out what caused the issue, what system was not in place or not followed, and how we can fix it. And so it's been amazing that we have a crew that just really works with us, because when we see those issues, we're not just trying to fix the problem. We're trying to fix that problem from ever happening again.
So as an entrepreneur, then, it doesn't matter what size the business is, do you still look at it at Black Forest and say, we still need to have some type of a little culture here, whether it's the pride in the work you do, how precision you do your work, what level do you want to work at, what's your professionalism? Some people are happy to just go sand red oak and coat it and be gone, and other people do want to, do masterpiece floors. There's that whole range there. What was your scope? Tell me what Black Forest looks like. How many people in a crew? Are you running vans or trucks? Who's running the office? Who's steward? Do you have to juggle everything, or have you been able to divvy up? Coming back at night, somebody's got to pay the distributor and pay the bills and pay the guys and write out the checks, and then someone has to organize the work to come up. How many people does it take to do that with your company?
Right now, my wife runs the office. I run the crews. Generally speaking, I'm doing most of the quoting and quality control. And then if it is a little bit higher end or a little bit more complex, I'll run out and work with the guys. But most of my time is actually dealing with, more operations than physically doing the work.
So do you do a lot more mentoring than management, or do you kind of have to juggle it all?
I would say I do a little bit of juggling. I've got a good crew right now. I've got 3 foremen. We run 3 vans. I got 4 guys right now. We need to bring on a couple more, but I'm kind of holding for a little bit just to make sure.
Well, you're setting up everything with these teams. You probably invest a lot in them, and you mentioned training. Is it just NWFA, field training, WearMax? Like, what is WearMax? Somebody had mentioned that to me, that you were working with that.
So WearMax is a ceramic finish, but it's changed over the years because the owner passed away. It used to come with a 50-year warranty, and we ended up going over to Seattle, getting certified. We took the crew over there, and we all got certified to do it. And it's a pretty high-end finish. It runs right around 450 to 500 feet a gallon, or dollars a gallon. But yeah, when I'm able to sell it, I make decent money putting it down. So that was one of the courses. We did the NWFA advanced, or not advanced, the intermediate courses for both installation and sanding with the whole crew. I've got one guy that's going to be coming up probably end of the year. I'm going to be sending over. He's back. It's not back east. I think it's Boise is the nearest one around here for an install course.
Okay.
This is kind of a busy year with the wood floor guy and gal competition, but I wanted to take the guys all to the advanced courses back east. And I don't know if that's going to happen this fall. It may happen in the spring sometime.
Well, that works. So do you work with your wife every day?
Yes. Yeah. She runs the office.
How do you make that work? Some actually work with their husband and wife in the field sanding, finishing. Some share office time. But most people say, I don't do that. Who would do that? How does that work for you? I'd like to hear that.
It works pretty good. She is amazing in the office. And I say it very nicely that she's a little bit, how do we word it? She's a stickler for details. How's that?
That's good.
Yeah.
You're making
We've
points
thought
there,
about
buddy.
that. That's a kind way of saying that she's amazing in the office. Oh,
She's probably 50% of that company. You better say nice thing.
That's right. Couldn't do it without her, I'll tell you that much. But she does amazing. And the funny thing is she's never touched a floor, but she probably knows about as much as I do when it comes to flooring. Just osmosis, I guess, working with me.
What do you have for equipment? What are you running out there?
So yeah, a few years back, it's probably been 5, 6 years, maybe 7 years. We switched over to the Domino power drives, and that was like, that honestly, that was probably one of the most amazing changes that we've ever made.
Right.
Because before we were just using old Clarks and hard plating our floors, and we could do a good job, but when you put it side by side with a power drive, it doesn't really compare.
Planetary is coming a long way. It's getting better by the hour, I swear to God. Do you have, like we do here, 100-year-old houses, 200-year-old houses, or is it, do you get restorations?
Oh, yeah. That's a huge part of our work. There's the South Hill area of Spokane is just, it's all old, beautiful homes that are, being fixed up. So we end up on the South Hill probably at least once a week where we're doing a 1800s, 1900s home.
Can you tell by area? Like here, we got houses from 1650, 70, and before you walk in, the whole upstairs is fir, the downstairs is maple, the center's cut out, it's got pine, because why waste the money, throw a rug down? Can you tell in old houses, you kind of know what's coming up before you walk in the door?
Down to the subfloor, yeah.
Yeah, right. What's the subfloor there? 6-inch pine planking?
Usually it's shiplap up here.
Yeah.
unless it's like mid 70s, and then you start to get into like press board over through, half-inch plywood,
For the
which is
carpet years? Is the market for you like it is here? At this point, now we're like 50% water, 50% oil. It's not like it used to be just oil. It's changed a lot.
yeah. We used to do a lot more oil, but now I would say it's got to be 70, 80% water.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got this week I think we have one oil, and everything else on the calendar is water right now. We've probably the trend here in Spokane has been like a burger, natural white, flat. Those have been super popular. Gray is really popular, which I hate, but it's probably going to fade out here
I
pretty
love you,
shortly.
brother. If I get one more gray sample, one of our vendors, their whole rack is some form of gray. I'm like, when's this going to end?
Yeah, it's got to end. It's got
It's
to
like then
end.
we're going to go into the English Tudor where everything is chocolate brown, and then boom, we're right back to natural colors
But
again.
you know what? It's job security because it looks pretty good in the way they have their home right now. But give it a few years, it's going to be like shag carpeting, and we're going to be coming in and refinishing those
It's
floors
job
again.
security. Yeah, I love that. Well, that's a weird. People like, oh, I don't use that finish because it's so hard to sand. I go, like, that's what the customer wants, but I get it. If you want to go back and sand their house every 5 years, and the built-in obsolescence works for you,
Sure.
okay, built-in repeat business, fine. But you don't do
That's
that.
one
I
thing
read in
about
your articles that
Max.
you actually do like an inspection process, and you have like a warranty or something, right?
Yeah,
How's
yeah.
that work?
Well, I mean, we stand behind our work for a full year, which, that's workmanship. And generally speaking, we'll go beyond that. We just want to make sure our customers are happy. When we do the wear max, that stuff's pretty amazing. We actually document that in their file because if we have to go back and sand it again, it's a whole nother process to remove that stuff.
Hey, Wood Floor Pros, this is Kim Walgren, the longtime editor of Wood Floor Business. Do you know a wood floor retailer who deserves to be recognized? Make sure they submit for our 2026 Outstanding Retailer Awards. 5 retailers will be featured in our 2026 contest as an outstanding retailer and be profiled in the magazine. You can find entry info in the show notes for this episode or on the Wood Floor Business homepage. That's it for now. Let's get back to Steven's talk with Steve Osborn from Black Forest Hardwood Floors in Spokane, Washington.
Do you have any really cool stories, or are there any particular restorations that you've done?
So we end up with a lot of like old 3/8 floors up here, and especially on the South Hill, the old
Solids?
white. It's solid, not a top nail, but T&G, and been doing this long enough where the floors that we were doing 30 years ago are now done and need to be replaced. And so we're ending up removing a lot of these old floors and then trying to mimic, the beautiful quarter sawn that we are unfortunately can't save anymore.
Right.
Yeah, for years we were just doing it one after the other, and it's so sad to go into some of these homes and it's like it's past its prime. There's not much we can do.
Well, please tell me these 3/8 are quarter sawn or something.
Yeah, they're quarters.
Thank you, because in Boston, it was a thing, and then it became a miserable failure because people thought they could just mill it plain sawn, and there's just cupping everywhere. And then some of these manufacturers, one the other day came out when they were announcing their new 3/8. I go, haven't you learned from this?
Yeah,
It failed in the 30s. It's failed in the late 90s. A solid 3/8, like you said, unless it's quartered, good luck.
yeah. And that the reason I bring that up too is that's a big factor in what finish you're going to put down. Obviously, if it's that thin, you're not going to want to go water base on it.
No, I hear you. I'll switch gears for a minute.
Okay.
Some of your magazine article that I read, you were talking about turning estimates into a sales engine, changing your paperwork from quoted paperwork to presentations. Sounds like you did a lot of modifications to do this. What does that mean, turning your estimates into sales engines?
So yeah, this happened probably a couple years ago. We just saw a need to rework it, and what we wanted was a system where we could put out a quote that's not like it's not a QuickBooks quote. It's not just written on a business card. It's not just your standard. We sampled probably about 10 different softwares trying to figure out what we could do. And there was just nothing out there. So we went down our own path and we started making our own. And so now our quoting system is such that it starts off with a letter to the customer. I think we're going to add a little video that we can customize at the beginning of the quote. It's basically like sending them to their own little website where they have a quote that's itemized, but it also explains our process, it explains our certifications, it explains our training. It goes through, lists good, better, best on finishes. It lists upgrade options. It gives links to different types of finishes, and so they can actually go to the website, learn about the finishes, or if they want to learn about stain colors, they
So
can
it's
go
totally interactive, and it saves you
Oh,
a
yeah.
lot of time, right?
Yeah, it's amazing. And actually, whenever they make a change on it, it automatically updates their total so they know what's going on. Our landing rate has gone considerably higher with this. We find that it's amazing. So it was a little bit of money to invest, but it was well worth it. And the way the system has gone, it's going to be something that the industry really, really needs. It's like we just don't have anything that's all inclusive. That goes not just the quoting part, but the CRM, the customer management system, timesheets, photos, all of that being grouped in one software is something that we need.
Homeowners, and they compare everything and they shop everything, and now they have the internet, they Google everything. But I found that the more transparent you are, let them know the level of your expertise. It really is insurance, because I've had people say, we're going with you. You're higher than the others, but we really feel like these are going to come out fine. And that's the vibe I get from with you and what you're doing with your company, and the things I've read online is you got it all down to where you're letting the customer at least feel like they're in control of this. Did they go right like to your website, or how do they find it?
We have a pretty good amount of Google reviews. I think we're at 110 right now, which is not as many as some, but it is good for us. It's probably the most here in Spokane, but that helps. We don't do a lot of advertising. We do some SEO with the website. That's helpful. But yeah, a lot of our work's referrals, and then the rest of it comes, from just people doing Google searches for us or for flooring, and we come up. And then they call us, and then we'll generally go give them an on-site quote if they're serious, and then it just starts the whole process.
It sounds like what you're able to do when you do that too is you're shifting that conversation from what's my price to what's the value I'm getting out of this.
Yeah, and I think that's huge, because whenever you just give them, just a prefab quote, it's got, we're going to sand and finish these 3 rooms. This is your price. That if you're coming up against a quote that is interactive, good luck.
Right.
It's not the same. And maybe they don't have the money for it. Maybe they do. You don't make that judgment. But ultimately, if it were side by side, I know what I would do as a customer.
Right.
I'd be more confident that it's going to be done right and done well.
How did this all come to you where, as you got rolling, you said, we're sanding, we're finishing, yada, yada, yada. Let's make the business part run better? Because it sounds like you really got it covered.
Well, I think out of necessity, really. We were busy, the work's there. It's like, now, how do you handle it? You could either use sticky notes and a whiteboard, or you're going to have to get serious about it. And we used an Outlook calendar for years, but ultimately it just doesn't have the information that you need or spaces for that information. You can't search it well. And so the system that we're designing actually does all of that. Honestly, I'm excited about it. I can't express how much it's needed in this industry. It's like just having a calendar that is more like a command center that has pretty much anything that you've ever entered about that customer in one place, including photos. There's just nothing out there.
Is there a part of you that says, I'm going to share this on the other coast for now, and maybe not in my area?
You know what? The main part of the operating system, totally. I have no problem on it whatsoever. The quoting part, I'm a little hesitant to share that here.
Absolutely. The same damn way. I want to ask you a couple things. So you received the ultimate Floor Guy Award. So congratulations on your award. Who are Tony Jones, Chase Reedy, and Dave Friedland?
So Dave Friedland's back in Florida.
Okay.
In fact, he's with HG and Hilltop, and in fact, he does everything. So I don't know exactly what he does. He was also with Wearmax. That's how I met him.
They all said some really nice things online. I know the story of you, which is a little different than usual, is you got nominated by your own people, right?
Right. Yeah.
Tell me about that.
I'm so great that I twisted their arms. No.
Good for you.
Honestly, we've got an amazing crew here, and I think they just appreciate what we do for them. And I'd mentioned earlier that we just started pay for performance. So I mean, these guys are getting compensated very well for being skilled. And I'm honored to be honest with you. I mean, I did not expect that.
Well, Lagler to me, it's a very prestigious company, especially because they work in that German engineering high-end portion of things, but they bring it right down to the common man, right down to what does the guy in the field need, or the woman in the field that needs to work with equipment. What does it mean to you, and then what does it mean to your team? How did they feel about this?
No, they were super excited about it.
That's
awesome. I wish they could go with me. But yeah,
you got it made. You're going and family over there. That works.
That's right. We'll have we're actually going to spend a little extra time over there. I think we're going to try and go through Switzerland and down into Rome.
Good for you. Like, let me ask you this: when you went through all this, I never get to ask people this, but do they show you the nomination letters or the videos or things people submitted about you?
They did, actually. Yeah, I got the letter, and it was like that I'd won it, and I was like, really? Seriously?
Right.
But yeah, there was I think my guys actually submitted videos, recordings, and I think David, he wrote a super amazing letter about me. So
that's what I'm asking. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Does it affect you moving forward? You're like, that was fun. Let's go after something else. Let's raise the bar. Like, you must be super psyched.
I am actually, yeah. Like I mentioned, there's that floor that we're working on. That's probably next year's. Well, I'm not going to say winner. I'm going to say I'm going to enter it, which I've never done before. We've done some amazing things, but it just never was really, I don't know, on the horizon. But yeah, this is going to be cool. So that, and we've got a couple other things that are going, and just really, this trade is amazing, you know?
It is.
I will say this. It's like when we started sending our guys to NWFA training, it really changed their mentality. I mean, while they had a job that they felt was a pretty cool job, when they start to see and start to interact with other tradesmen, other professionals in this trade, their mentality, their outlook just changed considerably. And it's like now it's totally a career for them. They're totally down for it. And so anything that they can learn, anything they can reach out and do, anything they can perfect even better, they're for it. And I love that about this trade.
When you're working with this form of examining the business, are there like operational mistakes that seem to pop out at you, or ones that you've had to remedy?
I think after going through eMyth, you see everything a little bit differently.
Right. I agree.
And you start to see those things. So yeah, when it comes to our business, it's like we're looking for ways that we can always do it better.
How do you track efficiency?
So this was, for us, this happened with eMyth years ago.
Yep.
We made a change where we started analyzing and running job percentages on every single job. We have it down to whatever line item we put on the quote, we have a certain amount of hours dedicated to that line item, and we can track it that way. And that is really important. Not only making sure that your crews, which you're not always out there with them, are being efficient, but they can see, well, this should only take me this long. I should be able to get this much footage done in X amount of hours. So when I approve timesheets, that's one of my jobs. I look at the job percentage, how it's going, how many hours are left versus where it's at in the process. I would have to say that was one of the biggest game changers, knowing how to do that.
Yep.
And to be able to track it, because before we were struggling so badly. We were going in the hole, even though we had like 6, 7 guys. We just couldn't be profitable. And so now, knowing that, if there's something wrong, if either we need more training on certain things, or maybe I misquoted it, and maybe I didn't bid it high enough and we need to make an adjustment, it becomes evident and we can make that change. Before, we were just riding by the seat of our pants, and it was kind of wish I had some business training before.
Hey, sometimes you got to break those eggs, right? You wrote about a lot of things in some of your articles, like taking care of your body, investing in people's training. That's something we talk about a lot right now today, because my daughter is now a physical therapist. She sees many of my flooring contractors. They want to work till they're 60, 70 because it's lucrative and they like doing it. Is that a theme you work with your people? Hey, take care of your body, take care of your mind.
Yeah. Back in the day, I don't know how many times I had to carry that old 12-inch Lincoln up the stairs and do that by myself.
12? You had a 12?
Yeah.
Oh, we only have 8s here.
Dude, I was a beast.
Oh, God.
Like, I don't even know how I did it now. But yeah, those mistakes, even though you're young and you think you can do it, there's consequences. And in November, I actually had fusion surgery on my lower back. So I can lift a total of 30 pounds right now, and I'm very proud of that 30 pounds. So,
look at you. I wish I could do that.
Yeah. No. But yeah, the surgery was amazing. I'm way better than I was before. So just got to get through the healing process. And then, so when it comes to my crews, obviously we don't lift the drum sander, even a Logler, which is light compared to a Lincoln.
Yes.
We don't do them by ourselves.
Right.
The boys they're warned against that. That's not even an option.
How do you run a 12-inch Lincoln and then jump on an 8-inch Hummel?
It's disappointing.
It is. It's a finesse machine, is not. I ran a 10-inch for the first time the other day, and I'm like, why did I spend my career behind an 8-inch drum?
Right. Yeah, and cranking that paper down and having it explode on you. Learning that, boy.
Tick, 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 tick,
funny.
Boom.
Oh, yeah, that'll
scare you.
But yeah, I did that for years, and the equipment that I had, it looked terrible, but I had it tuned in so I could actually do a pretty decent job with those old antiques. So I was very excited when we first got a Hummel.
Do you think that in all of this, how much does the business side matter and the craft side matter? Is it 50-50? What does it look like?
I think if you're a one-man crew or even a two-man crew, it's all craftsmanship. You don't have to worry too much about the office. I think once you get past like 4 or 5 guys, it becomes something that you're going to have to really put some thought into, because you don't want things slipping through the cracks. And it comes to a point where it's just too much without some help. And, I think for probably most flooring companies, when they get to that point making that decision, well, now I have to hire somebody to answer the phones, or I need an accountant. And I think a lot of businesses struggle with making that decision. But when you make the leap and you free up a little bit more time and you're able to actually put it into basically just thinking ahead of what the business is going to need, or how you can make adjustments here and there. A lot of times guys are so busy doing the beautiful work that we do that we don't have time to think about, those kind of things, business related, that we get stuck in a rut. And I hear all the time, guys, all my work is referrals. And that's amazing. That's great for a 2-man crew.
Yeah, exactly.
And it'd be amazing if you could do the same thing with a 10-man crew, but it doesn't work that way.
It doesn't work that way.
So you have to have those other parts of the business in place if you actually want to be really successful.
What do you wish you knew at 22 that you know now? Because you're now 26? We'll go with that.
Yeah. What do I wish? I wish I'd probably done some more training courses early on. I think that would have solved a lot of issues, a lot of the growing pains as you're learning how to do wood floors. I mean, as you run your own business, dealing with customers is one thing, but then making sure that everybody's super happy and how to deal with situations that come up. Not everything goes perfectly all the time. I wish it did, but how do you deal with those things? How do you still walk off the job with your head held high and you're comfortable with the end result?
Sure.
I honestly, when I started going through training, I look back and think, man, I wish I would have done this years ago.
What makes you the most proud of your team?
I think I would have to say I'm so proud of them for their desire to turn out the best possible floors that we can do. When they're out there, they care about the customer. They show that by means of their communication and just trying to head off any kind of issues that would come up. They're concerned about leaving that home cleaner than when they showed up, making sure that the floor came out right. And, when you've been in this trade long enough, it's like doing a floor is pretty easy when you go through the steps, but it's all the other things that really matter to the customer. They may not see a little, buffer swirl or something like that, but you do. But they're more likely to see if you've left the house dusty or you didn't clean up all the trash on the front porch or, I joke about it because one of the companies I worked for, we would pull up to the house in these old, 80s F-150 vans or
Yep.
E-150 vans. And the first thing you do before you even greet the customer, they could be standing on the front porch, is you grab the roll of carpeting and you roll it underneath the van to catch all the fluids that were going to be. And I remember when I first started this business, it's like, that will never be us. I will never allow that to
I'm
happen.
not going to be that guy.
I'm not going to be that
I got to
guy.
carpet your driveway so we don't make a mess with our floor.
That's right. No, I did not want that. I want our guys to be proud of where they work, who they work for, the quality of work that they can put out. And I mentioned earlier how we track job percentages, but ultimately that doesn't matter as much as turning out quality work. And when the guys go over it, we talk about it, and maybe I need to charge a little bit more for something, but because I don't want to cut them short on their time.
Sure.
I want them to be able to do the job right and not feel like I'm pressured to blast through this.
What's next for Black Forest?
I mean, the software that we're developing is one exciting thing. That a lot of my time is going towards that, just really, really re-envisioning the way the office works. Out in the field, probably not much changes, maybe a little bit more training. Hopefully, I'll be able to take the crew to next year's NWFA, wherever that turns out to be. I want to take the whole crew. Here in Spokane, when I was first starting out, this is like, I don't know if it's this way everywhere, but there's like this crazy animosity between companies.
Yeah.
And it's like, it doesn't need to be that way. We're all doing the same thing. I'm not trying to undercut you. I don't even care what you charge. I mean, I'm never going to badmouth any of my competition, but it seems like that was kind of the mentality here. And so we've kind of been trying to get a lot closer to our competition and just be there, be helpful.
I'm telling you, that happens everywhere. I'm going to throw at you our closing out rapid fire questions. You just answer them. They're instinct driven. Don't overthink them. Just gut answers. Throw them at me. If you don't like it, say pass. Are you ready for the speed fire round, Steve Osborn?
I doubt it.
Listen, I've said this before. Only one person has ever done this right, and it was Liz Emlock. And she answered and bailed. Every other guy, we elaborated on every single question for about 10 or 15 minutes. Matt Garcia did a good job, but we pre-warned him. All right, here's your first question. What's the one tool that you would never let anyone borrow ever? Or you don't like to let them borrow ever?
I am not going to let them borrow my Bona power drives. Not a chance.
Good for you. What's the biggest homeowner misconception of wood floors maybe that drives you nuts?
Misconception about wood floors? Oh, that you can drag the furniture across them.
Mm-hmm. If you could instantly master one skill outside of hardwood flooring, what would that be?
I've always been kind of a tech guy, so I would love to do more like software programming and stuff like that. Although that's probably going to be not a good job to be in here shortly.
No. I've seen AI replace a lot of people in just the last week. What's
right.
with your integrated system that you use for your quoting, what's like the fastest you've ever like closed on a job? Somebody got on, clicked the box, and there it is, or what's the fastest?
Yeah, it's like as soon as I send it.
It's we're in.
Yeah.
Just get
And
me on the
email.
calendar. Oh, real quick, when you get on there, can you click and get on your calendar, or do you have to request?
Basically, I haven't given them that yet because we have to fish in the job into the calendar. It might be nice for them to have a little way of suggesting dates, but we have to confirm that. We're running probably 5-6 jobs a week, so not every week, but usually about 5-6 jobs. So
Gotcha. A lot of wood species, your neck of the woods. Is there one that you're thinking in particular that's underrated?
underrated.
Everybody's oak and maple and whatever. Underrated?
Years ago, and we can't get it anymore, but we were doing red ipe, which I loved it. It was like just a deep burgundy color, and it was rock hard concrete. So I guess that would be underrated and not used very much anymore.
What's your desert island floor finish? You can only take one onto a desert island with you, and this is it.
Right now it'd probably be Wear Max. This stuff is bulletproof. I love that stuff.
Do you have any carpet in that house of yours?
I don't. Heck no.
Steve Osborn from Black Forest Floors, thank you very much for your time. I told you this would go really quick.
Well, it's been nice talking with you.
Awesome, man. Listen, thank you very much for getting on here, and we will catch up soon. I'm absolutely sure of that.
All right. Take care, Steven.
All right, thanks, buddy. Take care.
Thank you to Steve Osborn for sharing his wood flooring story and expertise with all things wood floor. You can find links to his articles in the show notes for this episode. Thanks for listening.